I have something very special lined up for you today. Two of the absolute best poker players in the world, Chris Brewer and Justin Saliba, got together to review many hands from the World Series of Poker main event in a brand new series on pokercoaching.com. And today I want to share with you two hands featuring Kristen Bricknell, who is a world-class player. She was on the feature table for many days of the World Series of Poker main event this year, and she put people in tough spots and was also put in some tough spots. And we're going to take a look at two of those hands from this series. I hope you enjoy it.
All right. I brought Justin Saliba on here. He actually said he hadn't watched any main event, and so we'll get a very fresh look at some of the more interesting hands I've played. Yeah, you ready to get into this, Justin?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot of buzz around the main event, a lot of fun hands, and I know you were super clued into it. So I'm looking forward to looking through the hands and seeing how everybody played.
Yeah. So this first one, we're gonna pick it up on the flop, but it went Christie Open. They are day 7 in the main, so this is probably somewhere between 25 to 35 players left. This Moyes guy 3-bet, and we have come to a flop. So I'll play the action. PokerGo really cut us forward on this one. So yeah, I guess first thing, we have this flop check. I know my thoughts on it, but I'll let you start off.
So this is hijack versus small blind 3-bet pot, right?
20. They stalled the hand 27 big blinds effective.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be playing any checks here. I'm going to just be trying to figure out how I can put as much money in as I can. And like a 10-10-5 board, I think these paired boards, I just naturally like to use a little bit of a bigger size. So I'm probably just going to bet maybe 4 million, looking to jam 9 million on the turn, and roughly.
Yeah. I might have used a slightly smaller size, but I'm on the same idea as you. Never checking. Actually, especially the 10-10x, like the small blind versus hijack here, we should probably have a lot of 10s. We've flop trips pretty often, and Christie she has ace 10 off, but honestly, I think she folds pre, so I think she has no off.
Yeah, this is a funny spot where I think people in real life, when they get in this kind of configuration, they probably feel like, oh, I don't have any 10s, and my opponent's going to have the suited 10s. And so so in terms of a real life range construction, it's possible that he actually doesn't have any 10s here. And so he thinks it's not as good of a board as it might be in theory.
And I mean, either way, even if you don't have 10s, the SPLs are so shallow, we should just be putting some money in. And I don't think she would have done it, but my guess is the way this spot works in theory is we go small bet and 9s literally just whips it on in.
Yeah, just wants to deny equity.
Yeah. Then you're supposed to just call off ace jack with a spade.
Which is so painful, right? Especially 25 left in the main.
Yeah, you just have ace jack of spades. And it's like, all right, I hope I can beat ace 3 of spades. Whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously you just get pulled from king grind. So anyways, we go check. He goes for this really yeah, I think she probably just puts the guy on a very tight range. He's hoping to either he folds or he continues with 2 ovals. And my guess is whole plan is to put no chips in if he check raises, just get away from the hand.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that makes her strategy really sick in the spot, right? If she can just bet 1.3 and then never get stacked when he has jacks plus, that's gonna be a pretty sick strategy from her in the spot.
Yeah, I think it's just legitimately a very sharp exploit. It's an insane theoretical adjustment to not stack off a 9 seal, but realistically, I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but someone that's decided to play checks on this board probably is viewing the spot title than the spot actually is.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think as him, you have a very mandatory check raise. No, what more you could want.
Yeah, I mean, these mistakes that come up, I just think they're really based on SPR and in kind of the missing knowledge, it shallower SPRs. Moreau's is he's been playing poker for a long time. I've heard of recent past, he plays a lot more cash games than tournaments. And so he's probably thinking like, okay, I need to be playing like check calls. I don't have this nutted of a hand, etc. But like at these SPRs, it's just like you do have that nutted of a hand, right? Your equity threshold just like moves so far down when you're playing like a 1.2 to 1 or 1.4 to 1 SPR in this kind of spot. So yeah, we can't just play check call here and just like let them realize all their equity and it's gonna get to the river a lot here, right? Like if they just have the king queen in the spot, you're just like gonna play check turn and they're gonna get to realize all their equity. So we need to like deny equity and also like stack stuff.
Yeah, you're just giving them some 25% equity for no reason when they have the ovals, and you're not stacking hand. I mean, the biggest thing is I always view this idea. This really applies to shallow poker and not deep. But like, if you have a hand that can never fold, so like Jackson's a good enough hand that if this runs out quick, you put all your money in. What matters the most is then getting hands you beat. So like, she's gonna triple off nines for value. I don't think maybe a computer will, but like a computer's not gonna triple off a five for value if they have it.
Yeah.
But like if they have ace five, they can't fold to you if you take aggressive actions. So like if you're gonna get stacked anyways by the hands that beat you, gotta stack the hands that you do beat.
Yeah, I think that's a great rule of thumb. This is a mistake I made for a long time where like, it's just like there's a lot of uncomfortable spots in poker where you show up with like this medium strength hand at a 0.7 SPR, and then the solvers just teach us, they're like, you just have to be jamming your hand. You always just have enough equity. You can't just let it play check because sometimes you're behind. Shallow SPR poker, you just have to push equity, especially when you need protection. So like, yeah, I like the way you said that.
Yeah, you see it all the time with the pocket sevens on 10-6-2 with a shallow SPR or whatever. You just put it in
Start.
your life.
Yep.
Yeah, we get a extremely interesting tone. I mean, we're pretty broken from like a solve at this point, but I imagine if you did program a check call in, you just lead. I don't know. I mean, Stroll Spades came in, but you have a field of one, and you must just have an ace in your range, like 80% yield. But
Yeah, for sure in solver land, but Murrow's is definitely not thinking about playing any leads in the spot. So like now that Chrissy's up against a range that smashes the ace and almost certainly plays a pure check, like she probably has like close to a pure check with her range. Like maybe she could like bet against value, like when she has a good hand. But yeah, she should probably never be bluffing the turn in real life.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it legitimately might be that if he doesn't play lead, she doesn't play bet.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to play that strategy in real life necessarily. If I had 10-9 hands, I would probably.
Yeah, of course.
But I like the solvable land. And now we get this spot.
Oh, what a nightmare. Oh my God. So he goes from like not stacking her to like maybe losing this hand.
Yeah, I mean, this node's crazy. Like, my initial thought when I watched this is I don't know how you could arrive with a wolf than red jack.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
and I mean, if we talk about like offsuit spade combos, obviously Moreau's has a way more like ace of what do you have here and ace off.
Dude, she went so small. Like, even if he's playing tight, like I don't think anyone's folding queen jack of spades against size she chose.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever gonna have that in this type of range though, right? Like if he's a tight player, he probably just doesn't even have that pre.
Sure. That's like but he has ace jack, ace king, king queen.
Sure, yeah, exactly. That's like his spade, like he's gonna have a lot of his king of spades just because of ace king off with this spade in his hand.
He might. I mean, even people who don't bluff, I do think sometimes look at an offsuit ace to find it. And like if they'll define that they put in even if they're playing too tight, I think people can look at ace 4 or ace 8 and sometimes if they're gonna find a light hand. So you also have like those type of combos like an ace 8 with 8 of spades.
Sure. Yeah.
And obviously Christy has pocket pails and maybe, I mean, she has some like whatever offsuit hand she does bet on the flop that she feels pretty, but that's really limited to ace, jack O, and king, queen O.
Sure.
And they have to bet the flop. So yeah, I think she's at a huge spade deficiency, kind of that like enjoy the spade or something.
Yeah, or a royal. I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can have some check back traps in the spot. Like if Phoenix has,
She can have king
quads.
Yep, you're right. Tens. Obviously, she can have some of the hands. She could. I mean, she could have queen. She could have queen 10 of diamonds. I don't think it's a line she's gonna play very often, but I think it'd be totally reasonable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would like to see a small size from the jack seal. Like, I don't want to see it. Jam seems incorrect. I mean, it's
So like, what are we targeting with the small bet on the turn? Like or on the river and like in real life? Like you think she's gonna fold like a suited ace?
yeah.
That's what we're targeting. Yeah.
Oh man, imagine you showed up here with ace 8. Like you just bet ace 5 suited on the flop, and you're sitting on the river, and this guy has check hold the flop and leads into you for like 3 million into 12.
Yeah. I mean, I would be so concerned that I'm gonna get heroed or like re-bluffed in the spot if I go for a small size.
Yeah, I mean it's fine to jam. I think you should. I mean, I think both sides are going to get used. I think you clearly are going to have some lower spades that don't want to jam. Like if I had jacks with jack of spades, are you comfortable jamming?
No, for sure not. Yeah,
I think your value threshold for jam is pretty clearly king of spades or better.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. So you could just, you could just break your range and be like, okay, well, when I have red jacks, I'm gonna block, and when I have red kings, I'm gonna jam. Like
Yeah, it'd be totally cool that just match your calls.
yeah.
So he goes for check.
Okay. And now this is really tough from her perspective. Like, man, it has to feel like you're just always getting called, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so weird. Like you have so little down. You have some full houses, like the few that we named. I mean, you basically just don't have a flush. You have some, but like, God, and like I think the thing is like, if you have like sevens with 7 of spades, are you even gonna,
Well, I mean, not like this deep in the main event, right? Like, I just think that like
I agree.
it's just not worth it.
I agree. I'm not saying too bad. I'm just saying like it really creates an issue. Like
Yeah,
maybe you can have jacks that you flatted trade, but maybe you can have like the jack of spades. But it's tough to have a value bet.
and then if we're really thinking this through too, like obviously being a third party in these spots is so much easier. It's so hard to like be ranging people properly in this kind of moment on the feature table, etc.
But like, if I this guy has aces, I'd be so.
But also, like, does Chrissy really bet 1.3 million with jacks on the flop? Like, it seems so much more likely it's going to be like 2.4. You know what I mean? Like, just a slightly smaller size, like, or bigger size.
I gotta be honest. And this isn't a criticism against Christy. I think she plays this hand well. If she played this exact line against me, and I somehow showed up with this guy's hand with jack on the middle, and she bet, I would be extremely curious, thinking that I do block, like whatever,
The thinnest value bets. Yeah.
and that she just has sixes through nines at like some insane frequency, and that she may bluff all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait, so does she go for some medium size here?
She goes for non, which also, by the way, I would be so suspicious of non-jam.
Yes, they have.
I think, what value combo do you jam?
I mean, dude, look, like Chrissy's just sick. Like, I think I think that like she just doesn't do this for value properly. Like she probably doesn't find that small of a bet on the flop, and she probably never chooses this medium size. I mean,
I agree. I don't think it's bad. I think it's
yeah, no, exactly.
If you have a read that this is going to be the best EV option for your bluffs against your opponent, it's fine.
It's really man, when she chooses this size too, like, I mean, is she just targeting like exactly his hand?
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like red jacks and red kings.
I mean, yeah, dude, the spot's terrifying. I mean, you also,
Yeah.
I think she's probably hoping that he'll fold like ace jack of diamonds,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
like something like that. I mean, he still folds.
Oh.
So yeah, she goes 8 million of her 12. So she doesn't go small, but she goes
Okay.
this, but it's a very awkward size still.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. But it could read like a please call me size. I have to freaking not.
Yeah.
You know,
She's so happy about that one, but it's pretty cool.
I mean that's that. Yeah, I mean that was a crazy hand. So that I mean that's 20 left in the main event, and you're playing some like
Something, yeah.
yeah, you're playing some like massive through that pop that somehow gets to the river and you get to bluff. Like you turn a value.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's such a crazy hand in every way. Like, I mean, it also I do think there is some lesson there to like extent when you have these type of hands like jacks that are quite good on the flop and quite vulnerable. You're gonna end up in hell if you just put the money in. Just
yeah,
to go and get that money in. Don't put yourself in this spot. I mean, you got,
that's true.
but
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, like when you just play check call on those kind of nodes, like you are leading to like making big mistakes on future streets. Like imagine like she had the nuts or whatever on the river and like he just like bluffed into it and like jabs and get
yeah. It's just like I wish like really well could have happened, and I think he would have played the non-flop street well.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I feel like Justin might have seen this hand. This was probably the most talked about hand of the night. So
So I saw it, but I didn't get like the details. So will you walk me through like exactly where we are in the tournament and stuff?
So we all, I believe, 14 left in the main event. So we're 2 tables. We have table 6, table 7. Joe is deal chip leader. I mean, Brian covers him at this table, but quite a lot of chips. It's quite deep. Like, I mean, there's the one hit like 12 big blind stacker and Cohello or 13 big blinds. And then everyone else, Gonzalez is short too. But it's like a reasonably deep table.
Yeah.
Joe opens low jack. I do think the existence of this 12 big blind and 13 big blind stack are like pretty relevant in this hand because it's much less likely that he has some crazy chip leader range.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And like his range construction, like it exactly right. It's just gonna interact with the board even more. He's gonna have more A7 off or whatever rather than like the 9-8 suited with those kind of reshot stacks behind.
Yeah, like I definitely don't think he has King 7 suited. Oh, sorry. He has King 7. I meant 7-6 suited. Doesn't just have 7-6 suited. You can't open this. So yeah, we got
or like fours, right? Pocket fours even.
yeah. I mean, maybe he thinks he can get away with it, but fours would be we're not gonna find these twos.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, he opens, she defends, check, and he goes for 4 million into 6 million at this some whatever what do we call this 45 big blinds effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about flop size and strategy?
So like this deep in a tournament, I assume this is like a too big of size, compared to like what a solver might do. I assume like we're sizing down here, in theory, but I don't mind it. Like I think that these sizes make sense on these high card boards. Like the range interaction that the big blind has is large. You still have the nut advantage in more high end equity, high equity hands. So I do think that like sizing up makes okay sense. I'm guessing it's not going to quite be a solver play, but yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, and like there is a counterintuitive thing about the main event, which is that it's actually one of the more top heavy tournaments of the year. So the risk premium is so much lower here than it even would be at this stage in a regular tournament, which it's funny because I feel like tournament plays the opposite. But Christy doesn't have to be like completely terrified. Like I think she is allowed to just 3-bet ace queen suited and call jam. I don't think like when some know that she doesn't, she's flatting jacks and ace queen suited.
Yeah,
she's flatting ace queen off probably, but yeah, like she does obviously have a nut disadvantage, but she has a decent range. I'm with you. I think you should probably have just B40 range and use range bet. There's no issue with 60 as a strategy.
Yeah. If we think about how people play this in real life, though, I am a little bit scared. Like, obviously, we're looking at his hand, but like,
dude,
yeah, I don't see Jack Queen choosing this size as often.
Yeah,
I think I don't see queens or tens, like,
those
wanting to do this.
People, and I wish I didn't fall into this category, but everyone does, so like I fall into it too. People often have a bias to the strategy that would be the nicest for the hand, becoming the strategy that they decide matches the board. Like
Yeah.
if you want to lean big, it's easier to be like, oh, big bet board. But then like when you have queens, you're like, oh, just be folding. It's like,
For sure.
and you don't even think you're playing a split size strategy, but you end up playing a split size strategy.
Yeah, which actually isn't a bad thing to do in 98% of tournaments, right?
Yeah, agree. It's a totally fine way to play poker, but it's just I'm with you that I'd be alarmed, and I'm already alarmed because I think if he's expanding pre, the way he expands pre is like ace X off.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't fold king queen. I don't. But I will say that like I've looked at some of these type of nodes when if chip leaders expand to enough offsuit ace X, you start making crazy folds.
Wow. Yeah, forward was not on my mind on the flop.
Yeah.
I
I mean, king queen's too good, but like if we have king nine, I'm
yeah,
nine suited against this
for sure.
stage.
I mean, dude, this is something that we've talked about, before in the past, but like just to share with the, everybody watching is like the other thing that we have to be really careful of in these kind of nodes is like just turn and river aggression frequency. Where I see it the most is like, yeah, like in this spot it's really high, but like imagine you get check raised in spots like this. Like when you get check raised, a computer is supposed to find like a 40% global check on the turn after check raise. But in real life, it's just like when I get check raise on this board, the guy from Florida is just like always betting the turn no matter what it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
If the guy, even if the guy has decided that he's check raising Jack 10, like he's like, oh, I'm gonna go for the bluff with Jack 10. That will be like,
Exactly.
let's stick 28% check on the tall. He's just betting.
exactly. And so that lends itself, and me and Chris have talked about this before, but like that lends itself to folding early and often with hands that don't have good future playability. And so like in this exact spot, a computer is going to fold like king seven off, no door, or facing this big bet. Just in theory, probably, definitely like jack seven off. But like, there's plenty of hands here that like you can just overfold the flop because the turn and river aggression are going to be higher than a computer would do.
Yeah. So I think my general approach, having said that, here would be I would never fold a flush draw. I would never fold an ace. I would never fold tail plus straight draw, and I would fold every. If you give me, oh no, one exception. If I have king X of spades, I would sadly continue. And if I have jack of heart with a call to 8 or higher, I think. Like I don't think I would. I think jack of heart's 7 out, but I think jack of heart's 9. Don't love it, but we'll continue. Maybe some stuff can happen. I don't even know if the jack of heart. You can convince me to get out with jack 9 off.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky because the EV of continuing the jack of hearts is going to be the on heart routes. We're going to have to be all in.
Which, I mean, to me, it probably just goes well in the main event. But
True.
Christy doesn't have a ton of decision, She goes for the call, which is the only thing we expect. I guess really quickly, I probably wouldn't play check raises against this size. I would just have none.
Yeah.
Not just in this hand, but if I flopped queen 10, I'm check calling, which I think is really relevant to what happens on the turn. So yeah, we've check called this very strong range on the flop based on the situation. Joe is just supposed to be super aggressive here. And use a big size. I think at this point, what else could you do strategy wise?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing to note here, I think you're going to see this spot extremely misplayed in terms of hand selection, not by Joe. I think Joe's has shown to be quite a strong player, but you're going to see a lot of people, I think, here just looking at like 8-7 of hearts and being like, oh, that's the one. And then they might pass on like queen 7 of diamonds. Well, like queen 7 of diamonds is like a mandatory, and it's fine to check back flush draws.
Sure. And I mean, not talk about hand selection here. Like, I assume that offsuit jack in our hand is going to have to be putting money in here. You have to find some like kind of unintuitive barrels in this kind of spot because, like in these kind of tight range spots, like if they lack offsuit combos, it can get ugly really fast in terms of overall frequency.
Dude, if you turn to 5, like if you somehow have a 5 in your hand, you all in by the level. Like it just is. Like you have 6-5 suited, you have queen 5 suited, the whatever. Like that hand is piling the money in, and like, dude, if we have jack 8 suited here or something, like we might just need to be taking the aggressive line.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Jack 10 off is the one that comes to my mind. Like,
That's an easier find. It's more natural.
sure.
Yeah. Probably do check back to Jack 8 and use more just complete ale, but like this spot, you're gonna struggle to be aggressive enough in position because in general, even really good
Agree.
players, with a range that's sufficiently weak. Like if you just bet flush draws and good hands, your range is so strong equity wise.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the pot? So I can't quite see it with the bar.
Sorry, I'll lower it. So the pot was
Okay, so
14.6 million. So
he goes 11.6.
he goes at geo size, almost
Sure.
exactly. She's gonna be left with I think 24 million or 25.
Yeah. It's so hard to look over these spots because like you see the hand and you want it to be like, yeah, it's a pretty clear fold. Like without seeing the hand, but these spots can be tough.
Yeah, I don't want to shallow Christy too much. She was stuck playing on the feature for probably 5 straight days. It's a really long tournament and poker's hold. But I also think there's no beating around the bush. This is a going with the all. I mean, continuing this hand in any manner is going to be a massive mistake, and continuing by jamming is it's just gonna be a pretty big torch. It's like I know people, so like there was a lot of talk about like, oh, like if this bluff worked or whatever, but even when it comes to like bluffing this spot, the only hands you're going to see check jamming in this type of node with risk premium are going to be something with such high equity. It's going to be something like Jack 10 holds or Queen 5 holds, so like maybe some wheel. There might be some like really bulgy, like you just have like Ace 10 of spades or something. I think that would check call, but I'm saying it's going to be like huge hands.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the presence of the ace not being a spade is like extremely problematic for this jam. So like you jam and he just has like ace 8 of spades, which is totally fine to bet this size. You're allowed to. He just calls.
Yeah.
And like that's a huge issue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like the other bit. I mean, the other issue is like we talked about the range construction pre-flop. Like, I just don't see him barreling ace 8 off.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Like what are we targeting on the turn when we're all in the spot? It's like it's pretty hard to have like
you're hoping. I mean,
ace queen off, ace 10 off.
You have a queen in your hand. Like you just don't have the right calls. The king is technically the right call. Like it blocks ace king, but it's. I don't think ace 10's in this line, man. Like I don't know. I think that he's gonna find checks with ace 10 and below. I think we're looking at some range that's going to be ace queen or ace x with spades. Like I think like that's going to be what the computer's going to be doing, and I think that's probably what Joe's going to be doing. And there's going to be bluffs, but if there's going to be bluffs, like once again, we just have the completely incorrect hand. Then, like if we say that we think he might be bluffing with like Jack 10 or even like King 10 or Queen Jack or whatever, just use the 5 that's calling the flush draw. Like we have that as an option.
Yeah.
And we absolutely. Also, you're just never jamming. You're like from a value standpoint, you're jamming Queen 10.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, so like this, I played a hand versus Mateos last year at EBT double flush draw board. I don't know if you remember it, but I like scorched one off on a double flush draw board. And I think that people like I'll speak for myself, but like I think that I undervalued the double flush draw board and how that works. Yeah. You have so many just like inelastic hands that are very clear continues and have playability across all the different rivers. And I think that in general, people think a little bit too much like, oh, it's double flush draw. They have plenty of bluffs. Yeah. Or they have plenty of this or whatever. And it's like, it just doesn't matter, especially not on ace, king, jack 5. Like, yeah, so I just think like in general on this spot, he has so many value combos here. The queen 10 off, the ace king off, the ace jack off, the sets. I mean, there's just like so many value combos this spot. It's just, it feels really hard for this to go well.
I mean, also like if we want to add in later on as we get to more hands, I'm going to talk about this more and more. Like we have a risk premium. So like you're not facing B90 here. You're facing like B150. Like this size is massive. And then when you're jamming, you're jamming for like B150 oval. Like you're jamming for like something that's equivalent of like if you're playing for chips of like 150% pot jam against someone that's doing something equivalent of oval betting. Like we're just putting so much money in the pot here. And like
for sure.
a spot where equity, the way this spot's going to play is like you have queen 10, you go all in. If you have queen 10 with net on the suits, and you're going to have a very small bluff frequency of really high equity hands that are probably going to have turn to 5 or have a jack in them. And they're going to just like exist enough so he can't fold ace king. Like that's the way this note's going to look.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like not to be jaded and funny, but like as Joe getting jammed on here, like I'm gonna quickly call and be completely sick to my stomach.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I will say I think that I have some opinion about the timing of this. I think he's pretty confident he's winning.
Okay. So he pretty quickly just like snaps and turns over.
He very excitedly beats her into the pot.
Okay.
He
He must have had a really good feel for how the spot was operating in real life.
I mean, I also think he just legitimately, like, she goes for a minute tank or something. I think he just didn't think she had value in the way she behaved. Whether or not that's true, I have no clue. But
sure,
the way he acted, it seemed like he was pretty confident he had the best hand.
Yeah. No 10 on the river.
No 10 on the river. All right. This hand is
GG to Kristen. GG, great run.
It was fun to watch. Or it would have been fun to see on the final table.
Those are two wild hands. I remember watching the pocket nines hand in real life, and I thought, wow, savage. Kristen played an amazing main event. It was a lot of fun to watch, and congrats to her on our deep run. Huge thanks to Justin Saliba and Chris Brewer for making this brand new series on pokercoaching.com. Make sure you check it out. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, click the like and subscribe button down below. Good luck in your games. Have fun. And I'll talk to you next time.